Now I'm in 0402 and we've got the flat site plan which we're going to populate with some properties. The tools we've got available to us, I've taken a snapshot view of this area from Google Earth. We'll also have a look at Glasshouse Lane on Street View so we can gauge some heights. So if you've got access to the exercise files, then File, Import, and then under all supported image types, select Roof Capture, which is in Chapter 4, and then you can open that up. That'll come in as a little snapshot. You can drag it to suit, so we get an idea of what's going on. Now if you want to trim this down a bit, you can right click and explode and then draw some lines across here, say to there, and probably from that corner to there. So this is the only bit that we want, so we can select this line and delete, select that line and delete, and clear this up. And then if you double click this and right click and make it a group again so it doesn't stick to anything, then it's much more manageable. The other thing that we can do to help to check some basic heights, we don't have to be too detailed on this, but it does help if we go over to Street View and go to Glasshouse Lane, and then we get to see what's going on. We can also take these images as textures later on if we wanted to. So it's a very nice technique. You get some decent views of some of these largish houses on Glasshouse Lane. And we can scroll along just to see how the roofscapes are doing, and it'll just give us a little helping hand when it comes to working out roughly what's going on with the roofs. Now again, we don't have to be too detailed with this. Certainly none of the windows or anything else would need to go in, and again, if you did want to grab the textures, then there are some reasonably decent shots of some of these houses, but the trees do block out the views sometimes as well, so it's not always that easy to get a full row of houses sorted out. So I'm just going to go back to SketchUp and continue with the massing. Now I'll take this one on the end. It's a fairly simple one. Let's go to nip back to Street View. We can see it's a single story, a little bit of an extension at the front, but let's not worry about that. We'll just concentrate on this flat roof and this bit as far as the massing goes. So we need to readjust the axis so it makes life easy for ourselves, and if we click on the axis tool and click at that point and then set one and then the other, it doesn't matter if the blue is going up or down for the purposes of this, and then we can use our rectangle tool and create sort of a basic rectangle. Now obviously lots of these lines are not sort of parallel or at 90 degrees to themselves, so if you did decide that you wanted to edit this group and start just manipulating these lines, then you'd probably get yourself into all sorts of difficulty. So that'll be fine for this one. We can now pull it up to about 3 meters, and then we can put a ridge line on this from midpoint to midpoint, and then select that ridge line and use the move tool just to bring that up, and I'll say a pitch of about that sort of height. That'll be fine. And again, we can then put this bit in. This is just the flat roof extension bit. We'll take it up to there, and it's up to you whether you want to sort of add the extra bits at the back. In all probability it's just sort of a flat roof extension. This did seem to be a bit of a hip going on, so if we just take it from there to sort of that point, and then we can pull that up to this point. Now to put a hip onto this, if we take a line from the midpoint, and it depends whether you wanted to take it up all the way to that ridge line there, but if not, just take it up to a point and then just draw in that triangle. Now we can erase this center line. Then using the push-pull, we can push-pull to this end point here, and then with the move tool just hover over. You don't want to select any of these lines, just hover over that end point and then click left mouse and then drag it in until it hits this surface. Now if you hold the shift key down, it'll just stop at that point, otherwise you could drag it all the way through. So just it'll intersect with that face by holding the shift key down and locking out that axis. And that's created that one. The one next door to it is a much bigger affair. So this is pretty much just a box with a sort of hipped in 4 directions roof on it, and there'll be some bits and pieces going on at the back. It looks like this center bit comes out and you've got some bays going on there, but again, let's not worry too much about that sort of stuff. It shows sort of the bays coming out there, so if we did want to do that, it looks like there's some sort of extension going on at the back as well. So again, we need to reset our axis and create our rectangle at that point. Now this is going up, say about 500 for a 2-story, and it's going to be pitched at that point. So we'll take this and move this up. That'll do that. And then if we put the hips on the back, we just draw a line from there to there, and then again without anything selected, with the move tool, just hover over till you see that end point snap, and then click and drag it in a distance, say about 3 meters, and then you can do a similar thing the other side just to balance it up. And then there'll be something going on at the back as well, which you can add to later, but quite a few simple little techniques to mask these things. It doesn't take long. I'm going to finish off the rest of these and put this front row in here as well. So when it comes to finishing our site, we can move all these in from here to this one, and then we'll just lower them down onto the site or raise them up slightly so we get a good idea of what's going on. And the last thing we need to do really is to add some colors to identify the streets and the grassy areas, and put some trees in and anything else that you fancy to enhance your site plan.